Hiya folks, I just wanted to bring one of my old videos to you. This was one I done, quite a few years ago now on my other channel, which a lot of you probably don't know about, my Retro Hex channel. I've done lots of restoration videos, and as you can see in this one, I've got an old MX5 rocker cover or valve cover, and this it was in a right state. I bought this at a car boot sale and didn't spend a lot of money for it. I think maybe about £7 or £8 I think, and the whole intention of me buying this sort of stuff is to actually do up and restore. That's what the Retro Hex channel was predominantly about. So yeah, this was the bare bones cover. As you can see, it's in a bit of a state inside and out, and although this can probably be used, my intention was to make it into a sort of a man cave item where you can just display in a man cave or whatever. So I've got all my restoration videos on the Retro Hex channel, which I'm going to try and bring some over now onto my Retrorestore channel and do these little sort of voiceover things with them, just so that I'm explaining as I go along, because there wasn't no commentary on them at all. It was just sort of music and also the mechanical sounds as well, which you probably hear in the background anyway. So as you can see here, all I'm doing is removing this old gasket now. This was the original gasket. It's made out of rubber. I don't think I'll replace this, I'm not too sure. We'll see at the end of the video, but as I say, you could probably reuse this item. It wasn't broken in any way, so it could have obviously, or it could be still put back onto a vehicle, but I mean the main intention was to be used as a man cave display item. So I'm just removing all the internal baffle sheets here. There could be oil under there. I'm going to be putting this in the sandblaster, so I wanted to clean that all under there, and as you can see, there is some sort of burnt oil residue left under there, so they have to come off. They are sort of gasketed on as well, so I'm not too sure what them chambers are actually for, but just peeling out the rubber for the breather hose there. The surface of it is still in good condition, and obviously the oil filler cap there as well, which looks to be in good enough condition for me just to clean up and probably reuse. These screws were pretty tight if I remember rightly. I'm just putting some spray penetration fluid on them. These are the spark plug lead holding clamps. They're made of plastic, very brittle, so you just got to be careful that you don't break these sort of things. As with restoring any item, you've got to sort of be methodical when you take things apart, and the original fixings, something which if you can you want to use again, so I'll keep all the original fixings as well. So there's all the internal baffles and things taken off of the valve cover. So it's stripped down to all its component parts now, as with everything I do when I do a restoration. Get it stripped down as far as I physically can. And it makes it a hell of a lot easier for cleaning up parts as well when you take everything off. So before we go anywhere with this, I want to be cleaning this with my paraffin filled reservoir tank. You can get different degreasers for this sort of thing, but I find paraffin's good, and it's got a recyclable filter in there as well. So all I have to do here is to obviously take off all the old gaskets and stuff. Just use a blade to sort of prise them off. That looks like a rubber sealant actually, some sort of gasket seal, as opposed to an actual gasket itself. And then after the cleaning, into the media blaster and give it a good going over. Don't forget this is aluminium or alloy of some sort, so it does clean up very, very well with a media blaster. I'm lucky enough to have one of these, so and if you're doing any sort of restoration work, you really want something like this to clean parts up. Otherwise it's a manual task, and that can be very time consuming if you don't have this sort of equipment. So that's the sandblasting done inside and out, although there still will be plenty of dust on there and possible grit as well. So I'm just going to clean up these baffle sheets as well, because I'm going to be replacing them obviously. So just a wire wheel there, just to make them clean and bring the shine back. And any rough casting edges, that we had on there. I'm just sanding them down, just so that it looks a bit more finished when you finally apply the powder coat, rather than have sort of a thick lip there. So just little things like this, you go that extra mile if you're making a display piece like this is going to be. And then I'm using some 500 grit paper just to prepare the surface now. Bearing in mind it's not a flat item, so you're best to do this sort of thing by hand if you can. And that's just giving just to take off the casting lines, I suppose you could say, of the valve cover, just to give it a nice finish, because it is the finish that we're going to be looking for, as opposed to the original cast effect that this obviously came with. I don't think this was painted originally either. So once we've done that, I like to clean them down with acetone. You can use a wax and grease remover, but acetone is a very good cleaner, but also wear gloves with it as well. It's not very good if it gets in the pores of your skin. And just spend a bit of time getting in all the nooks and crannies, because we're going to be powder coating this part, and I'm going to have to do it in 2 stages. And bearing in mind it's made of alloy, it's best to preheat it first. Just brings all the extra contaminants out of the alley as well. So then I will wipe it down again and obviously powder coat it. Now this is a 2-stage powder coat kit, because I want to do this in a candy colour. So this grey powder I'm putting on now is actually a chrome powder. It gives a chrome effect. And then what you do afterwards is then choose your candy colour once this is flashed off in the oven, and then you apply the other powder on top of that. So as you can see, that goes in grey for 30 minutes at 200 degrees centigrade. And when it comes out, it's got a lovely shine to it, like a chrome. It is a sort of a chrome finish, but it's not as hard wearing as chrome, obviously. So you have to let the part cool off, and then I've gone with a candy blue colour directly on top of the chrome. And what you're looking for is, again, a matte uniform colour, so that you can't see any of the chrome underneath. So make sure you're getting all the nooks and crannies there. You can see the shiny bits at the moment. Just make sure that it's matte and you can't see a shiny bit. That way you know you're going to have the full coverage you need. So it goes in, as you can see, looking very, very powdery. And you've got to be careful not to touch this, because if I rub my finger along that, the powder would just come off. So, but the beauty is you can just overcoat it again, and you won't get any runs or sags or anything like that. So again, put that in the oven again, and as you can see there, 15 minutes at 180 degrees centigrade. And when that comes out, we should have a lovely candy looking valve cover. And there you go. Look at that. That's the beauty of powder coating, folks. But the preparation is very, very important. If you don't get the preparation right, then you're never going to achieve these results. Now here we got the sunken letters for the word Mazda there, and all I'm taking is some gold powder coat powder, and I'm just sprinkling it over these letters and filling the letters up with the powder with a little pipette. Just dabbing it in there. As you can see, I've taped off everything else, and all I'm going to do now is make sure that everything's filled up, push it down, being very gentle not to make a mess. Just pack it into the letters, and then I'm getting a straight edge and just squeegeeing across the whole lot, and then I'm going to need to remove any bits of surface powder coat that's left on the surface. And I'm doing that with a bit of tissue there, as you can see. Take it all away. That's why I masked everything else off. Put it back in the oven for another 15 minutes. And you'll see the end result of that in a minute. I did use this rubber again, as you can see, because someone may have put it on a worktop, and I did think that the rubber would help in case it might scratch the worktop. So it's more of a preservation thing there, as opposed to using it for sealing something up. I'm just putting back them internal covers again. I didn't bother putting any sealer on them. And of course I'm not showing you it yet because I want to do the big reveal in a minute. Okay folks, that's what we started off with. Very cheap, £5 to £7 I think from a car boot sale. And there we go, there's the finished article there in powder coat blue. Absolutely superb. There's the original letters. And after we powder coated them, as you can see, that's melted into them letters perfectly, that gold, and it sets it off no end. There you go, look at that. I was well pleased with the way this come out. Well, there you go folks, that's one of my restorations on my Retro Hacks channel. I just thought I'd bring it over here and hope you enjoy the sort of work that I have done in the past, and I'll bring a few more of these to you. And don't forget, check out my other videos on car repairs, lawnmower repairs, bike repairs, other retro stuff, and we'll see you in the next video. And until then, bye for now.